WCBI News at 10 starts now.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Tommy Lopez. A federal judge ruled today that 2 Lowndes County deputies can only be sued in their official capacities as members of law enforcement. A federal judge dismissed a false arrest claim today from Paul Vega. He was arrested shortly after the 2015 discovery of the body of Manuel Vasquez in the backyard of his Lowndes County home. The charges were dropped, and Vega was suing Ryan Rickert and Tony Cooper, both as deputies and as individuals outside of that. The judge says that these deputies are protected by sovereign immunity laws. A former member of law enforcement in our area, Oxford in Yalobusha County, is in jail tonight in Florida. 48-year-old John Canfield allegedly hit and killed a child while driving drunk on a sidewalk and injured 4 others Thursday. He's now facing several felony charges in the state of Florida. And one of the children, 13-year-old Jaheim Robertson, died today from his injuries. Another 13-year-old boy is in the hospital with life-threatening injuries.
I'm at a loss for words this morning. This is truly tragic for us.
Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd says the children's injuries include spinal injuries, facial fractures, and head trauma. And evidence suggests he did not try to brake before or during these collisions.
Drove off of the road and ran through these children and scattered them like a bowling ball through bowling pins.
Deputies say he drove away in his car. They arrested him a short time later when he crashed into another car, injuring a pregnant woman. An off-duty deputy got a call from his daughter, who saw it happen. He ran to the scene.
I assumed the worst. I got out of my bed and I ran towards my daughter, not knowing what was going on.
They say it was obvious he was drunk, and he didn't even know he had hit the children. Another person saw it happen.
No, he didn't have no idea. He was screaming, yelling, and stuff.
The sheriff says Canfield has been with 10 different Mississippi agencies over 18 years.
I talked to one of the sheriffs that he worked for, and the sheriff said, I've been in law enforcement a long time, and he was one of the very best detectives we ever had. But he had a problem. Alcohol, the bottle.
Deputies say his BAC was double the legal limit 7 hours after those collisions. There's an ID now on a woman's body found in Lee County earlier this month. 22-year-old David Fisher III is facing a murder charge. It's in connection with the discovery of that body found on County Road 2350. That's near the Lee, Prentice, and Itawamba County lines. This is the victim. Lee County Coroner Carolyn Green says forensics and DNA have confirmed it's 38-year-old Linda Diane Pope Reed of Lee County. An exact cause of death has not been released. Sheriff Jim Johnson says that state and Itawamba County investigators helped piece together this case against Fisher and helped identify Reed. Investigators are still working on a timeline to pinpoint when Reed's body was placed in the shallow grave. They do believe it was about 6 weeks ago. They say the victim did not have close family relationships and that's likely why a missing persons report was never filed.
In Tupelo right now, we still have a breeze. There's our Alpha Insurance camera there in downtown showing that we have a breeze and it is warm everywhere. Mid and upper 70s still at this hour. Tomorrow, your Saturday, likely around 90. High wind gusts and storms loom for Sunday. The full forecast is next.
Your first alert weather forecast with Chief Meteorologist Keith Gibson.
Just like summer out there today, this is our Alpha Insurance time lapse from this evening showing the setting sun. Wow, what an amazing evening. Hopefully you've been out there taking advantage of the warm and breezy conditions. Still quite warm at this hour. Now a warm front moved through here this morning. That front is now well to the north and right along and north of it. We have big-time storms breaking out. Those are rumbling away from our area. But I just want to show you how big this system is. We have this stuff going on here in the Ohio River Valley. We have more rain and snow out there across the Rockies. And all of this will cross our region as we go throughout the course of the weekend. So pretty active stuff. Now, tomorrow, we're just warm and we're just windy. To our west, you can see the risk for severe weather. So if you're going to Arkansas, western Louisiana, Texas, Oklahoma, that's where some big-time storms and perhaps some flooding is going to be. As we get into Sunday, that activity shifts farther east, and our rain chances go up, and also our storm chances, they'll be going up as well. And we may see several inches of rain, 1 to 4 plus inches of rain Sunday with these heavy storms. So yes, there could be some flooding. Now, this doesn't look like a major tornado outbreak by any means at this point. However, damaging wind and hail are certainly possible on Sunday, and we can't rule out a few embedded tornadoes within this line of storms that will take forever to cross our area on Sunday. So we're currently thinking winds and perhaps a few isolated tornadoes. The main concerns here, the hail threat fairly low, I think, with the setup, but an elevated risk of some flooding potential with this juiced up atmosphere in place. We have all this tropical moisture that has come on back, and that's going to be maximized on Sunday. These brighter colors here illustrate all of this moisture that's going to be squeezed out by this front on Sunday, and then dry air comes back in early next week. Remember, last night it was nice and chilly around here, very dry. Now it's tropical, and then early next week we get dry briefly. Here's our Saturday planner. 9 o'clock, 76 degrees, 87 by 1, 91 by 4 o'clock. Wind gusts, once again, much like today, perhaps over 30 miles per hour. And it's just not here. Across all of Mississippi, all of Alabama, it is warm and windy on Saturday with highs in the upper 80s and low 90s. Here's our 7-day. You can see that we have these warm temperatures through the weekend. Out ahead of that system on Sunday, Tommy, we're still talking low 80s, and then the storms roll on in. Drier Monday, cooler 75, 82 on Tuesday, still sunny, and then more active weather Wednesday, and perhaps some cool and showery stuff in about a week's time.
Yeah, wow, look at that. Yeah, more precipitation chances and noticeabely cooler next week. And I'm cautiously optimistic we can get all of this out of here in time for next Saturday, the Market Street Festival in Columbus. That's important. We're going to be giving away a car that Saturday.
That's right.
That's May 6th. Hard to believe, just over a week away. We'd like to announce that Annie Mayfield from Columbus has a chance to win our Crank It Up contest and a made-over 2004 Nissan Titan pickup. Annie registered at Miller's OK Tire in Columbus. You can find out how to register on our website. So the weather is quiet today. 3 years ago, though, that was not the case. When we come back, we're taking a look back in Tupelo and other areas at how these areas are bouncing back. That's next. 3 years ago today, parts of northeast Mississippi were hit by a number of tornadoes. They caused widespread damage that day. Our Allie Martin was there in Tupelo for that chaotic afternoon. He has the story of a business that is rebuilt.
I'm Allie Martin. 3 years ago, April 28, 2014, started out as a slow news day. I was covering a story with the governor's wife. She was reading to grade school kids in Fulton. That afternoon, though, we heard about a tornado on the ground in Tupelo. I drove over to the North Gloucester area, which took a direct hit from the tornado. The business behind me, Haviland Express Lube, was right in the twister's path.
We had 8 employees that day, or probably about 5 employees here that day, and a couple of our office girls had come up here, and because this is kind of our little tornado shelter.
Randy Groover owns Haviland Express Lube shops across the region, but the store on North Gloucester is special. It is the first one Groover opened in April of 1994. The store had just celebrated its 20th anniversary when the tornado hit the North Gloucester Business District the afternoon of April 28, 2014.
The employees were kind of standing around watching. Some of them had already went in the pit, and a couple of them seen some of the buildings across the street started going up in the air.
All employees on site took cover in the pit, or the bay where workers perform oil changes. The building was damaged extensively, but all employees were safe. Groover was on the scene within a few minutes after the devastation.
My son was up here and he said, "Hey, we've lost North Gloucester." I was just thinking, I hope nobody was hurt. I'm really proud of our employees that day. People that was walking around with, with no shoes, and it's just like what you see on TV. And our guys had T-shirts that was laying around, and a lot of them was wet, so we brought a lot of them into shelter, what building we had left here.
Groover's employees at the North Gloucester shop were able to work at other locations until the store reopened about 6 months later in the same spot. Some of Groover's neighbors also rebuilt, some moved locations, and others haven't returned.
hotel housing that was here and the restaurant across the street, the gas station over here. I think there's some great opportunity right here though now, and we've rebuilt and made some changes to the place, made it a better looking facility than what it was.
Without a doubt, the landscape, both physically and corporately, has changed over the past 3 years, but one thing stayed the same: the resiliency of those who call Tupelo their hometown. Allie Martin, WCBI News.
That same day, an EF4 tornado hit Winston County, damaging the county's hospital and nursing home beyond repair. Today, there was a ribbon-cutting ceremony on a new state-of-the-art Winston Medical Center. Lieutenant Governor Tate Reeves was in Louisville the day after those tornadoes hit, and he was also today's keynote speaker.
This took a lot of effort from a lot of people. It took the federal government, the state government, the Department of Health, working with our state legislature. It took financing. It also took working with the CON process to put it in place such that we could expedite the process so that we're here now and not 23 years from now. And so it's something that I'm very proud of, and it exemplifies community spirit.
The grand opening of the hospital will be Monday. Coming up, a busy night of college and high school baseball action. Highlights from MSU, Ole Miss, and some playoff action next in sports.
Here's WCBI Sports with Robby Donoho.
We start the night in Starkville. Andy Cannizzaro and MSU welcoming in Butch Thompson and Auburn. The Bulldogs would lead going into the bottom of the fourth, and the lead would grow. Josh Lovelady putting one down the left field line. It's a fair ball. That would score Elijah McNamee. It'd be a 3-1 lead as Lovelady would get into second, but he'd be left there stranded. So we go to the sixth. It's now a 3-2 lead for MSU. Cody Brown going downtown. Well, actually right center, sort of downtown. He would score Ryan Gridley. He would also end up at second, Cody Brown. So MSU takes a 4-2 lead. They would go up 5-2 going into the ninth inning. That's when you bring on Riley Self to close the door, and sure enough, he would do just that as he would induce the 6-4-3 double play right here. Bulldogs win 5-2 as they take game one. They've won 30 games on the year. Doubleheader will start tomorrow at 2 p.m. To the diamond at Ole Miss, technically in Fayetteville, taking on Arkansas. First game of a doubleheader as the Rebels were looking good in game two as Nick Fortes putting one down the left field line. That would score Will Golson and Colby Bortles. Rebels led 4-0. And when they got in trouble in the sixth, Ryan Rollison would be right there to get back-to-back strikeouts. The Rebels would take game two 4-1, so they have the series win with this victory. But could they get the sweep? Sure started off pretty well in Game 3. Again, they played a doubleheader today. So, the Game 3 highlights as Ole Miss was taking on Arkansas. And as I mentioned, it was a pretty good start for Ole Miss. First inning, first batter, Tate Blackman. That was what we call a tater. Into left, it's a solo shot. Rebels take a 1-0 lead. Then we go top two. Thomas Dillard. Watch this one. This one's way out of here. That's light tower power, as my friend Ben McDonald would say on the SEC Network broadcast. That's what Brent Rooker has. So is Thomas Dillard. Rebels take a 2-0 lead, but in the eighth, it would all unravel for Will Stokes. He would come on and give up 3 earned runs. Here would bring home 2 more for Arkansas as the Razorbacks are able to salvage a win in Game 3, 7-4. But Ole Miss does take the series win as they take 2 of 3 from Arkansas. To high school playoffs from tonight, East Webster hosting Baldwin in Game 1. And top one for Baldwin, a pretty good start for the Bearcats. Braxton Neighbors pushing one pass short. That's a base hit, so we got a runner on, but later on, runners on the corners. Baldwin taking a page out of the Wes Johnson playbook here as they try to steal at second, and in the process, while Peyton McGill is in the rundown, Neighbors scores, so the Bearcats take a 1-0 lead. Bottom three, East Webster trailing, 2 on for Luke Wilson. Simple little blooper, but it gets down into right. That would score Darius Bryant and Miller Hancock. East Webster takes a 2-1 lead. They'd go on to win 3-1 as they take the first game of a 3-game series against the Bearcats. Over to Eupora. Boy, the bats were hot tonight for the Eagles as they were taking on Mantachi. Bottom one already, Eupora's up 2-0. Runners in the corners, Donovan Turner into center. That would score Claude Herod, 3-0 lead for Eupora. And now Ash Dumas is up, and Ash is a simple little blooper into center. This one would get down, and that would score Brett May as the Eagles take a 4-0 lead. They would have many more runs after that, but Mantachi's trying to get in this one. Here's Jacob Frazier. Goes back up the box for the base knock, but Hunter Potts would strike out on this next at-bat, leaving 2 on. Eupora rolls 18-0 in 5 innings. The Eagles are no joke right now. They've been blowing out teams left and right. So Eupora starts off that series with a win. To 3A we go. Playoff action with Moorville hosting South Pontotoc. Rick Collier on hand checking out this game. Troopers jumped on top in the first inning. Andrew Pugh pushing one past the second baseman. That scores 2 as Moorville takes a 2-0 lead. Bottom 2 now. Trace Henry's up. He's going to push one past second. That would get another run home. 3-0 lead now for Moorville. But your highlight of the night came from Andy Franks. Kids nicknamed the Hammer, this is probably why. A deep shot that you're not going to be able to catch. Solo bomb to right, Moorville takes game 1, 9-1 over South Pontotoc. And lastly, the fast pitch, ICC hosting EMCC in MACJC softball playoff action. Bottom 5, Houston's Mary Kansas Sullivan dropping the bunt. That would get Mackenzie Piper home. ICC takes the lead, and they wouldn't look back after that. In the 7th, Mamie Hollenhead would turn the 5-4-3 double play right here, which is finished off by Alex Brown. ICC takes game 1 of the best of 3 series, 9-6. That's it for sports. We'll get a last look at your forecast when we return.
Fans of antique farm machinery are headed to Houston's Briggins Park this weekend. The city is gearing up for the annual Flywheel Festival. Antique tractors, engines, other farm implements will be on display there. It's also a swap